What? Ladies and gentlemen, the Twins signed Carlos Correa. Coming up on today's episode of Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Minnesota Twins podcast. Today is Saturday, of course. It's a Saturday special edition. It's March 19th, and I'm your gracious host, Nash Walker. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms. Again, Nash Walker, been writing at Twins Daily for over 2 years, been hosting this podcast for over 2 years. Here to bring you the biggest signing in Twins history. Not afraid to say it. In franchise history. The Twins land the number one free agent on the market, an all-around superstar player, coming off a top 5 MVP finish, coming off a World Series appearance, coming off an exceptional season, and just really an exceptional group of seasons since he's been in the big leagues. Carlos Correa is a Minnesota Twin. And I'm sitting here last night, laying down. It's 1 a.m, just about 1 a.m. I'm sleeping. And my friend comes and pounds on my door and says, "Wake up, you got Correa, you got Correa." Insane. I can't believe this. I honestly, some of the words, and this is how I was when the Twins traded Donaldson to the Yankees, that deal. This is even crazier. I tweeted this last night, excuse me, but over this entire offseason, there's been so much uncertainty with the Twins. What were they going to do? Who were they going to add? How are they going to make payroll space if they did add a big name like Trevor Story? How much were they going to spend? There was so much uncertainty. Are they even trying? Are they trying to win? That was the biggest question of all, right? Are they trying to win? There was one certain aspect of this entire thing. It was one thing that we were certain of. Carlos Correa wasn't coming to Minnesota. There's no way. For myriad reasons, there's no way he's coming to Minnesota. Why would he want Minnesota? Why would the Twins ever pay Carlos Correa? That's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. Even though the Twins need a shortstop, Correa needs a home. It's not happening. Even with Correa left on the market, I never thought for 1 minute, not 1 minute. And this is even different than Garrett Cole a couple off seasons ago. When, like, at least for a second, I was like, what if the Twins did? I never thought once that the Twins would even consider an offer to Carlos Correa. Why would we have any belief that they would do that? It's unreal. And the reason they're able to do this, so this is a really unique contract. It's a 3-year, $105.3 million contract with opt-outs after years 1 and 2. So 95% sure Carlos Correa is only going to be a Twin for 1 year. So this is essentially a 1-year deal. Unless Correa gets hurt, then maybe he opts in for another year. So there is risk here for the Twins. It's $35 million on the books for this year, next year, in 2023 or 2024. But Correa can opt out after this year or next year. And that's the only reason the Twins are able to do this. So it's not a 10-year, $300 million contract. It is a 3-year, $105 million contract with opt-outs. Huge average annual value, highest paid infielder, I think, in Major League history on an average annual value basis. And the Twins signed him. The Twins signed him for $35 million a year. Carlos Correa. This is, to me, this type of contract makes a ton of sense for both sides. For Correa, maybe the market wasn't there. Maybe the teams weren't there. It was a really loaded shortstop class. Maybe he's not getting what he wanted. Clearly, he's not. With the lockout definitely impacted negotiations. I don't think he's at the number he wants to be at. So he thinks with Scott Boras now that he hired as his agent, who doesn't get this cut from this contract because he was just hired. So he makes the cut for next year. Correa, working with Boras, thinks, let's go play another year. Whoever will give me the highest average annual value, let's go play. And then I'll opt out if I have another great year, and I'll go get my $350 million. He's only 27 years old. He's going into his age 27 season. He's going to get $300 million. And now he'll get to choose next offseason rather than be pressured into taking $300 million from Baltimore or taking $300 million from a team he didn't want to take it from. And there were reports Baltimore was offering Carlos Correa, but now that gives him that opportunity. For the Twins, if you're still thinking Royce Lewis could play shortstop for you in the future, this is a win now. We want to compete in 2022. This is the loudest move they've made yet and is the loudest move you can make. is to sign Carlos Correa on essentially a 1-year deal. I'm going to call it a 1-year deal because I'm not going to assume he gets hurt. And if he's not hurt, he's opting out. That's just a reality here. And it sucks. Like, he's not here for the long run, but there's no way he was going to come at all unless it was a deal like this. So it's either you have Carlos Correa on this deal or you don't have Carlos Correa at all. I'll take Carlos Correa in that case as the Twins starting shortstop on opening day this year. It is unreal. They took a position that was empty and added a 6 to 7 win player to it, adding 6 or 7 wins to a spot that was empty. And there's more work to do. They're not done. So we came into this offseason. I keep coming back to this. What did we say? They need a starting shortstop. They need 2 frontline starters, and they need at least 1 high leverage right-handed reliever. They got one of their frontline starters in Sonny Gray. They got a great shortstop, perhaps the best in the world in Carlos Correa, one of them, certainly. One of them in Carlos Correa. They need another frontline starter, and they need a high leverage reliever. So they're not done. And if they don't do those things, I don't know why you sign Correa, because you don't have the rotation to give him a chance to win this year, give your team a chance to win this year. So I fully expect more moves are coming, which is so exciting. And I think the Twins are going to come out of this offseason as, yes, crown them the offseason champs. It doesn't mean anything, but they are doing exactly what I wanted them to do, is put yourself in a position to compete this summer, put yourself in a position to make some noise. And signing Carlos Correa is loud noise. My buddies who are White Sox fans are texting me, have not worried about the Twins for 6 months because they're like, oh, the Twins are going to suck again. Now texting me threatened by this signing, which is music to my ears. That is amazing that the Twins are back on the radar at least. And they have more work to do, as I said. They need another frontline starter. They need a high leverage reliever. But this is an amazing start to secure Carlos Correa for 2022. So much more coming on Correa. What makes him so great? Why should you be really excited about Carlos Correa? After this word from Built Bar. This is the time of year I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my plan to eat right thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. Have you tried the Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting flavors. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallow, they're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors. Yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. So good. These are going to be your new favorite. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste, but they're all about the health as well. And they make it taste delicious first and figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. You can go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. What makes Carlos Correa so great? You look at his career, and he was the number 1 pick in the 2012 draft. Byron Buxton was selected second. So now you have combined, this might be the best duo in baseball if they're healthy this year. Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, it's hard to do much better than that in a young, seasoned veteran duo. Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, wow. And they were drafted 1 and 2 in the 2012 draft. But you look at Carlos Correa, he had a really down year in 2020, didn't have a down series against the Twins, still found a way to beat them in the playoffs because Carlos Correa is one of the best playoff performers we've seen in the last decade, 2 decades. He's an unbelievable player in the postseason. But since he's been in the league right away, he was a star. He's a career 277 hitter, 837 OPS, 127 OPS plus. And last year, over 7 wins at Baseball Reference. He's a Gold Glove winner. He saved 20 runs last year in shortstop. He is an elite defender. He's an elite athlete. He's an elite power hitter. He hits for power. He hits for average. He gets on base. Struck out 116 times in 640 plate appearances last year. Doesn't strike out much. Walks a lot. Hits for power. Plays. He literally does everything. He's good at everything. Carlos Correa is a superstar. The only thing that's held Correa back in the past, and he hasn't really been held back in the past. He's a career 34 win player, and he's 27 years old. He's projecting for a Hall of Fame level career at this point. Carlos Correa is that good. Has been health in 2019, not very healthy. Was great when he played. 2020 struggled, but outside of that, Carlos Correa has just been amazing. Like, he is just. There's a reason he was the best free agent on this market. There's a reason he's getting paid $35 million a year, and the Twins are willing to take this risk on him because he is so good, and he does change things for the Twins. And you might not place a lot of value on this. I know some people don't. But Carlos Correa is a proven winner. I know he has a history, and some Twins fans don't like him, and I certainly have had reservations about Carlos Correa in the past. Like I've said, I don't really like Carlos Correa around the time of the cheating scandal. But how funny is it that it changes as soon as the Twins sign Carlos Correa? Because I understand how good he is and I understand how much he can bring to this team. But he's a proven winner. He's a competitor. He was the leader last year for an Astros team that was outstanding and went to the ALCS, or went to the World Series rather, and ended up losing. The leader for that team. He is exactly the type of person and player the Twins could have right now and that they need right now. Nelson Cruz leaves. Josh Donaldson leaves. You lose that veteran presence. Carlos Correa is not, he's 27. He's younger than Buxton, but he's seasoned. He's been there. He's won a World Series. He's been to the playoffs almost every single year of his career. He's been there, done that. He knows how to win. He knows how to lead a winning team. And for the Twins, it's a no-brainer. It's really a no-brainer, this contract. And that they were willing to do it is amazing. And still, the payroll is not where we think it should be. I think they can still add Montas and a high leverage reliever, get up to $140 million. That's more than reasonable, especially if you're signaling you want to win by signing Carlos Correa, and Jim Pohlad wants to win this year, wants to compete. More than reasonable. More than reasonable. And I think this team, if nothing else, is going to be incredibly exciting and fun to watch this summer. I think they have put themselves in a position where they're going to be must watch, which is great. That's great in and of itself, because they've signed Carlos Correa. They've traded for Sonny Gray. They have Byron Buxton on an extension. They didn't trade him away. At least a lot of people are going to come back and watch and see, okay, let's see what this team's got. Now that's different than we've put a competitor on the field, because they don't have the pitching. They don't have the pitching right now to do that. They need another frontline starter, maybe another starter after that. And they need bullpen pieces, at least one, preferably two bullpen pieces. But right now, at the very least, they're a little dangerous and they're exciting and they're a little scary. And I can tell with the reaction I'm getting from some of the opposing fan bases that the Twins are a little scary. And that's what happens when you sign a player like Carlos Correa. This is stunning. It's shocking. It's any word you can think of for mind-blowing. The Twins have signed Carlos Correa. I want to talk more about his fit on this roster, what's coming next, so much more coming after these words from BetOnline and Mission Possible. It's that time of year again. March Madness is underway. We'll have a Sweet 16 after tomorrow. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, BetOnline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Are you ready to discover your purpose and leave an impact wherever you go? Mission Possible, written and read by New York Times bestselling author and athlete Tim Tebow, encourages you to find your inspiration, pursue your purpose, and create a life for yourself that counts. Ignite a spark in your life through this new inspirational listen. Mission Possible by Tim Tebow is available wherever audiobooks are sold. I want to give a little perspective here. So Carlos Correa, wins above replacement by season, 7.2 last year. He was a 7-win player in 2016. He was a 7-win player in 2017. 2018, not as much, was hurt. 2019, not as much, was hurt, but still combined to be an 8-win player nearly in those 2 years. 2020, he was a 2-win player in the shortened season. And I mentioned he's coming off his best year, his best season in the majors in 2021. I also want to talk about the postseason. 6 years, 79 games in the postseason, is a 272 hitter, 849 OPS. So basically on par with who he is in the regular season, which is impressive because you're facing tougher pitching. 18 home runs in 79 playoff games, 334 plate appearances. Has been in the playoffs, has won a World Series, has been in the World Series 1, 2, 3 times. It's a special edition. It's a special edition for the Twins and the biggest this franchise has ever made. It is the biggest addition this franchise has ever made. And you might hear that and say, like, Jack Morris or even Nelson Cruz is the biggest addition they've made. Yeah, because it worked out so well. And the jury's still out on Carlos Correa. But just from a right here, right now, offseason standpoint, this is the most impactful addition they've ever made. This is the best player they've ever added in free agency. And that is amazing. Carlos Correa is one of the most talented players the Twins have had on their roster in probably 20 years. He's that good. He's that good. This is that big of an addition. And everybody knows it. And everybody's shocked. I think the baseball world, myself, everybody's shocked about this because of how good he is, because it's the Twins, because they don't do this, because we're not sure if they're going to win this summer. But kudos, man. Kudos to the Twins. Like I have to give credit where credit's due right now, and it's not over. It's not over. So I hesitate to say it was a great offseason because it wasn't at this point. And I know that sounds crazy. They signed Carlos Correa. They traded for Sonny Gray. They had so much work to do. They put themselves in a position where they had so much work to do that it's still not a great offseason. But credit where credit's due. They got aggressive. Trevor Story wasn't coming together. It was very obvious that wasn't coming together. They pivoted. They jumped on the best free agent in the market and the best shortstop on the market. Maybe this is a generational type of player. In the last 10 years, there has not been a shortstop like Carlos Correa on the open market. It's incredible. I can't believe it. I'm going to be processing this for a while, and I'm going to be processing Carlos Correa in a Twins uniform probably through the entire season that he is in a Twins uniform. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, shoot, he's only here for 1 year. And I get that. And Carlos Correa is a Minnesota Twin. Like, it doesn't matter. He's going to play for the Twins this year, which is insane. And there's this buzz around spring training right now. We're getting quotes from guys. Can't believe it. So excited. Ryan Jeffers saying, I don't think we're done. I don't think we're done. That's what this does. It is a message to the rest of the team. It's a message to the fan base. It's a message to the league. It's a message to competitors. We're taking this seriously. We're taking this season seriously. We're trying to compete, and we are willing to push our chips in. We're willing to spend $35 million a year on Carlos Correa to try to win this summer. We're willing to do these things to try to compete. And I think that's a great thing. It's a great thing for the Twins right now. They need that. They need that push. They need Carlos Correa. They need someone like him. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I want to know what you think in the comments. Please comment at YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at NashWalker9. Follow the show at Lockdown Twins. There's so much more coming with this. So much more coming. Again, I don't think the Twins are done. I think we turn our attention to Frankie Montas, Luis Castillo. We turn our attention to Sean Manaea. Start thinking about those guys. And I know we've been thinking about them all offseason. I've talked about them all offseason. But you don't go sign Carlos Correa to just sit on your hands and say, we're good. We're good. We're going to go play. You don't do that. You don't do that. You really don't. And if they did, I would be not only disappointed, I would be really surprised at that point. Maybe more surprised than I am at the fact that they signed Carlos Correa. If they then signed Correa and didn't do anything else, I would be like, why? Well, why'd you do that? Is it just to sell tickets? Which it's going to sell tickets. You're going to sell tickets. But if you're going to go halfway or 3/4 of the way and you're rounding second, just round third and go home. Like, go home at that point. Push some more chips. I say this as a prospect guy, knowing that I'm going to be hosting Twins podcast for a long time. I know that. I understand that. So I understand the risks of it. I'm not just sitting here and saying, like, impulsively they need to trade and mortgage the future. But this is the time, man. This is the time to do it. You convince Carlos Correa to come to Minnesota. You convince Carlos Correa to come. This is the time where you push more chips. And all of a sudden you look around at this roster and you say it's an 88-win roster. Simply, which was almost not conceivable to many before the season started or before this offseason started, to have an 88-win projection going into this year. And at that point, you're in the thick. You're in the thick of it. Amazing. Twins sign Carlos Correa. So I don't really have words. So I hope I summed it up decently for you. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for listening today. We'll be back on Monday to break down more of what went on this weekend, what it means for the future, and hopefully a new move for the Twins by then. But man, enjoy this one, Twins fans. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. Make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues, past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Go Twins, man. Carlos Correa.